Intermittent fasting has been one of the most talked about health strategies of the last decade. But for adults over 60, the questions are different. Is it safe at this age? Does it work when you're older? And is it even a good idea? Today we're going through the actual evidence, not the hype, on intermittent fasting for older adults. What it can genuinely offer, what the risks are, who should avoid it, and how to approach it if you want to try it. Intermittent fasting is not a diet in the traditional sense. It's an eating pattern. Rather than restricting what you eat, it restricts when you eat. There are several common approaches. The 16-8 method is the most popular. You eat within an 8-hour window and fast for 16 hours. For most people, this simply means skipping breakfast and eating between noon and 8 p.m., or eating an early breakfast and finishing by 6 p.m. Time-restricted eating, or TREE, is a broader term for any approach that confines eating to a consistent daily window. Research increasingly suggests that aligning this window with daylight hours provides additional metabolic benefits. The 5-2 approach involves eating normally 5 days a week and severely restricting calories to about 500 to 600 on 2 non-consecutive days. Alternate day fasting alternates between normal eating days and very low-calorie or no-calorie days. For older adults, time-restricted eating, particularly an early window ending in the afternoon or evening, has the most favorable evidence and the most manageable profile. The research on intermittent fasting in older adults specifically is still developing, but the evidence to date shows several meaningful potential benefits. Weight and metabolic health. Multiple studies show that intermittent fasting produces comparable weight loss to continuous calorie restriction without requiring constant counting. For older adults with metabolic syndrome, prediabetes, or excess abdominal weight, the blood sugar and insulin sensitivity benefits are particularly relevant. Cardiovascular markers. Studies have shown reductions in blood pressure, LDL cholesterol, and triglycerides with intermittent fasting, all important cardiovascular risk factors. Inflammation. Fasting periods activate cellular repair processes, including autophagy, the body's process of clearing damaged cellular components. Reduced inflammatory markers have been consistently observed. Brain health. Animal studies on fasting and brain health are very promising, and some human trials suggest benefits for cognitive function and neuroprotection. This is an active area of research. Simplicity. For some people, having a clear eating window is psychologically easier than constant calorie restriction, fewer decisions, less food tracking. Intermittent fasting is not appropriate for everyone, and there are specific risks older adults need to weigh. Muscle loss, sarcopenia, is the primary concern for older adults. Fasting periods can break down muscle tissue for fuel, and older adults already face age-related muscle loss. If protein intake is inadequate during the eating window, intermittent fasting can accelerate muscle loss. This is the most significant risk, and it's addressable, ensuring adequate protein, at least 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight within the eating window, combined with resistance exercise, substantially mitigates this risk. Medication timing. Many older adults take medications that need to be taken with food. Fasting schedules need to be designed around medication requirements. Always discuss this with your doctor. Blood sugar. People on insulin or certain diabetes medications can experience hypoglycemia, dangerous low blood sugar, if they fast without adjusting their medication. Diabetics should only attempt intermittent fasting under medical supervision. Nutrition adequacy. Compressing eating into a smaller window requires more intentionality about food quality. An 8-hour window of poor food choices is still a poor diet. Bone health. Severe caloric restriction can reduce bone density. An intermittent fasting approach that maintains adequate calorie intake overall poses minimal bone risk. Overweight and frailty. While fasting may benefit overweight older adults, frail or underweight older adults should not fast. Maintaining adequate nutrition and muscle mass takes priority. If you want to try intermittent fasting after 60, here is a sensible approach. Start with a modest window. A 12-hour overnight fast, finishing dinner by 7 p.m. and not eating until 7 a.m. is what many people do naturally and is a safe starting point. Most people can gradually extend this to 14 or 16 hours as they adapt. Keep the window earlier in the day if possible. Research on circadian biology suggests that eating earlier and finishing by late afternoon or early evening produces better metabolic outcomes than the same window later in the day. Prioritize protein. Every meal within the eating window should contain adequate protein to protect muscle mass. Include protein at breakfast. Eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, fish, or a high-quality protein shake. Combine with resistance exercise. This is essential for preserving and building muscle. Schedule some exercise within or close to your eating window. Stay hydrated during the fasting period. Water, black coffee, and plain tea are generally fine and do not break the fast. Discuss with your doctor before starting, especially if you take medications or have diabetes, kidney disease, or a history of eating disorders. Intermittent fasting is not appropriate for everyone. Avoid it if you are underweight or frail, have a history of eating disorders, are pregnant or breastfeeding, have type 1 diabetes, take insulin or sulfonylurea diabetes medications without medical supervision, or have a condition that requires regular food intake. If you're not sure, ask your doctor. For most healthy, moderately active older adults, a modest, time-restricted eating approach is safe and potentially beneficial, but it's not for everyone. Intermittent fasting is a tool, not a magic solution, and not right for everyone. For some older adults, it can support weight management, metabolic health, and energy levels. For others, the risks outweigh the benefits. The bottom line, if you're reasonably healthy, have adequate body weight and muscle mass, and are committed to eating nutritiously within your window, a modest, time-restricted eating approach is worth exploring. If you have any medical conditions or take medications, get your doctor's input first. See you in the next video.